Gabrielle Burnham is in the Qowat Milat. Ensign Tilly skips to the front of the line, and we get another tribute to a fallen friend. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc, Lofton.
Yeah, hello.
We are joined by a very special guest way out in Missouri somewhere, Mr. TJ Jackson-Bey.
Hello.
He's our associate producer and good friend. We were just talking college hoops. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing Discovery Season 3, Episode 7, Unification Part 3, directed by John Dudkowski. And everybody that saw the title of Unification Part 3 got super excited, right?
Oh, yeah. Tell me who didn't go back and watch Unification on the Next Generation Part 1 and 2. I know I did.
Yeah, you actually prepped, right?
I mean, how do you not go back and watch that with that title coming up? I was still even a little bit like, are they going to absolutely fulfill that expectation with that title? Like, how can you not? So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and watch it. And like, it's a good time to watch, some TNG anyway. So, it was great. It was great. It did not fail to meet my expectations.
Wow, high praise. How you doing, Cirroc?
Doing good. I'm doing good.
Can you meet that level of praise?
I thought the name of the episode was Unification I, all capitals, but I guess it's not. So that was Unification 3. Okay, good to know.
Me, myself, and I.
Yeah, what it is, it's a reference. There was a two-parter on Next Generation Unifications Parts 1 and 2, and it was with Spock trying to reunite the Vulcans and the Romulans. And Picard gets all into it. It's a pretty fun and interesting thing. I think, was it Pardek? Was that the Romulan guy?
Yeah, the Romulan Senator Pardek, who they met in the time of Star Trek VI at Kittimer or something like that.
So we're glad to have TJ because he's going to fill in all the blanks in our knowledge here, especially because he just rewatched Unification 1 and 2, which is a great two-parter.
It really was. And, if you were watching in the time of TNG and you were a fan of those old scientists or TOS, Star Trek, then anybody was excited. Oh my God, Leonard Nimoy is going to be on the Next Generation. And so, it wasn't the first time that they brought an old character back on the Next Generation, but, definitely, I mean, when you think about Spock, who is pretty much the icon of Star Trek, showing up in the new show that, at the time, just like now, everybody's like, no, this is not my Star Trek. But then you get Spock on there and to legitimize it a little bit.
Right.
Not that it needed it from my point of view, but that's what it was back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah, Cirroc. When I was watching it, I was like, "Oh, Spock! That's like a reference to a different series." And I was like, "Oh wait, no, there's a Spock in Discovery." I forgot there's an actual Spock in Discovery. Different guy though.
Yeah, I forgot about it. I was reminded by it when they brought up the Spock, but I wasn't aware of this other reunification Spock guest starring in Next Generation, which I think is a fantastic idea in general because of pretty much everything TJ was alluding to, the icon status of Spock and him actually kind of legitimizing and putting his stamp on Next Generation as, being the torchbearers at that present time. But so I guess my question for you guys is the little snippet of hologram Spock that we saw in this episode, is that from the reunification episode?
Yes, it's directly from that. He was talking to Captain Picard when he was speaking those lines about, how reunification will happen one day, and I must, help. I must stay here and help. I'm not going back.
Right.
Now, forgive my innocence, but or my ignorance. My
Innocence too.
Please forgive my innocence too. But so the Qowat Milat, is that something that was referenced during that episode, or is that something
that is from Star Trek Picard? If you'll recall, in the new Star Trek Picard series, the all-female group of Romulans that they got Elnor from, because he was like the one male in the Qowat Milat, it was that group. So that was actually introduced in Picard, and that's one of our first connections between Picard and Discovery.
Okay.
But that's the first time we were introduced to it, was in Picard. That's a new era thing.
Wow, so they're just tying all the boats together in this particular episode.
Yeah, it was nice to see those Picard references. It was actually nice to hear the computer say Captain Picard's name too.
Yeah.
Like I don't know about anybody else, but I squealed a little bit when.
Speaking of which, did you guys catch the reference to a fallen friend in this episode? Because I missed it.
I did. I missed it the first time, but I definitely heard it on the second watch.
Right.
It was USS Yelchin.
Right, for Anton Yelchin, who died a couple years ago. The fellow, the actor that played Chekhov, he died tragically at like 27, something horrible.
He died right before Star Trek Beyond, the third of that new series of movies came out.
Right, so
the
4 years ago.
Yeah, JJ's movies.
How did he pass away?
Boy, he apparently was pulling into his driveway, which is kind of sloped as far as I know.
I heard about this.
And he went to get his mail and I guess didn't put his emergency brake on or something. And the car rolled back and just pinned him up against his brick mailbox or something. I think it's very close to that, if I remember correctly. Right, TJ?
Yeah, I don't remember the specific details, but that's kind of the general of what happened. He got pinned between his vehicle and the wall there.
Yeah.
You actually be surprised how much that happens, because I've heard a story about the exact same thing happening to another woman that I know, a friend of mine that I know, and she kind of the similar thing was thought she put it in park but didn't, and then ended up somehow, getting killed by the car.
Wow.
So it's not like a 1 in a million. It's not like that's the first time it ever happened. It actually happens. So
use
more frequency than you think.
So use that emergency brake, basically, I guess, is what we're trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Park, yeah.
So they made a reference out to him, the USS Yelchin. Okay.
Right, and that's the thing that the black box belonged to. So that's going to have a pretty major role. It's probably going to be mentioned a couple more times, it would seem, because they're going out to find it or something like that, but it's playing a major role in this storyline.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the data from that black box is going to help us find out what's going on with the burn. So
there's got to
also the data they got from the Romulans, right, or the Romulan Vulcans.
Yeah, the Vulcan Romulan team. What are they called? What's their new planet? Navarre. Right. By the way,
yeah.
What did you think of the Navarre president? I thought the actress was really good.
Yeah, I thought she was good too. I liked her. I liked the keys she was hitting. She was tough when she had to be. She was also soft in other moments. And I kind of think they alluded to some kind of love interest between her and Saru. And it looked like they were leading that way. I don't know about y'all, but that's what I felt.
He's a smooth operator.
Yeah.
Saru. Yeah, I enjoyed her also. Go ahead, Cirroc.
No, I was going to say that when the two of them were in the scene together, they remind me, Saru actually has a Vulcan type of logic to the way he talks and the way expresses himself. He actually has a similarities to the Vulcan, in my opinion.
Do you wish that when they were standing there in front of the window talking, do you wish he just kind of like reached over and they held hands for a second? Where he says, I would love for that to happen, or I would love to talk with you again. And they just kind of reached over and like touched hands.
Or maybe if he like did this like lizard lick where he licks behind her ear or something really quickly and pulls it back. TJ likes that one.
That's creative, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to take it to the next level here.
The lizard lick. But it was cool to see Saru and Tarina. Right.
Tarina.
Thanks, TJ. It was nice to see Saru and Tarina getting along. Some people were saying it was very much like how Picard used to be so diplomatic with other leaders. He was really good at that. And Saru did harness a little bit of his inner Picard there, being very diplomatic and friendly and kind of, listening to their side of things, but like kind of slowly bringing in, oh, well, that's a very good point, but also here's this, so that was cool. It was good to see a little diplomacy there.
I had an observation on Saru. Like, his diplomatic skills are off the charts. They're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He was channeling his inner Picard, level-headed thinking, logic. But my observation is this: Saru is super diplomatic as long as your name is not Burnham. Because he just can't seem to to get past, whatever beef they have between them since season 1, I think. And so he always, questions her judgment. And he doesn't really trust her because of what happened in season 1, I think. And so he's a great diplomat unless your name is Michael Burnham.
Yeah, that's true. Like, if you remember, probably the very first scene on the Discovery of the very first episode, Saru and Michael kind of agree on something, and Georgiou makes a joke about, hey, can you note this in the logs that this is the first time that my first officer and second officer agreed on something, or whatever it was. She made a little quip like that.
Right, I do remember that.
Star Trek, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, though, I would have to, like, a little slight disagreement on that. I think Saru does try to even be diplomatic with Burnham, except that she always overrides whatever the hell he's going to tell.
She does. She just kind of runs off with it.
Yeah, so, like,
I could argue both sides of that.
Yeah, he's forced to be in a position where he's like, look, I don't know what to do. I tried to give you the number 1 position. I tried to do this. I tried to do that. And every time I give an order, you're like, to hell with you. I'm going to do what the hell I want anyway.
Point taken.
She's like, that sounds nice, but I'm going to go ahead and do this.
Yeah, and I'll deal with the consequences, whatever they are, after I save the world. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, I need a T-shirt that says Black Alert, because I love when they go into Black Alert mode.
Right.
And that's my favorite line in this episode. Black Alert.
Black Alert.
It's also a Norwegian death metal band.
Okay. Well, then I might have to get their shirt.
Well,
I'm gonna have to.
Maybe
check that out.
I'm just saying it. Maybe it is.
but I just wanted to get back to Navarre. Last name Burton.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Very nice. Solid.
Navarre.
The best part is if it takes me and TJ 2 to 3 seconds before we react, that's good. You like that one. Because we both stopped and we're like, okay, sound it out in your head. Okay, got it.
Navarre Burton. I got my own Navarre reference. So I'm pretty sure that Navarre has a meaning. And I think some people have even been, talking about what it is from the books and other references. But here's my meaning. Navarre, Nivar, is now inhabited by Romulans and Vulcans, or Vulcans and Romulans. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very nice.
Now inhabited by Vulcans and Romulans. Navarre.
That's solid. That's a big win right there.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm
And
sticking
so
with it.
the Romulans now live with the Vulcans because presumably in this timeline, the Romulus has been destroyed. Is that correct? Those timelines get a little tricky for me.
That's my take on it, especially with all of the Picard references. And, that being what happened in Picard was that they had the supernova deal. So,
Right.
I just assume that that's what happened, here as well. And that's why they're on Navarre.
So then I wonder, I feel like they did say when the Romulans and Vulcans united, but I feel like they said it was
They said 100 years ago.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So then where were the Romulans for the 800 years before that? Just kind of floating around. Guess we don't know yet.
Diaspora.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I had that question too. I'm really interested in seeing what what happened during that time. How they grew to be together again, and what that's been like while they were there. What were they like when they were in the Federation together?
So,
can you imagine the Federation accepting the
So I would like a
Romulans?
little clarity, though. So in this Unification 1 and 2 episode, was Spock successful at uniting Vulcans and Romulans, or was that just the beginning of the deal?
No, yeah, it was just to start it off, and then it ends. I think TJ mentioned kind of a snippet of it with kind of Spock saying, "I'm going to stay here and keep working on it," staying at Romulus, and that was kind of like his life's work after the original series movies. He's presumably just staying there and trying to unify them because there were some Romulans that did want to reunify and some Vulcans that did as well. Is that right, TJ?
Yes,
Okay.
that's accurate.
So then Spock is now, flash forward in this particular timeline, he is looked at as the Martin Luther King of this movement, of this unity.
Right. He's the guy that made it happen, or the person that they look back
Kind
at.
of the father of
Of Navarre.
Okay.
Father of Navarre.
Now,
And they got into a little bit of it, but they said it's two versions of the same species. Is that something that's been talked about before?
yeah. They're like sister species, basically. If I remember correctly, did they originate in the same place and then they split off, or are they just
they had the same kind of origin, but they had different philosophies. And so at some point the ones that were the Romulans decided to pick up and go start somewhere else,
right?
Without trying to deal with all of this logic stuff that the Vulcans were going into.
Mm-hmm. So it's like this race just kind of split in half. There were the logicians and there were the guys with fire in their belly.
Okay.
I think they were described as those who march beneath the raptor's wings.
Wow, nice.
I think that was an Enterprise reference.
See, I don't remember that. I guess I need to watch Enterprise again. Shout out to our friend Melissa Longo, who is currently watching Enterprise for the first time. She's binge watching it and flying through it. I think she's already in the third season.
Wow.
She's going to knock it out in like a month. So shout out to her. And I believe she said something to the effect of, "It's not as bad as I thought it would be," or something like that. because Enterprise gets a lot of shade, man. Enterprise
it gets a bad rap. Yeah, it's a great show.
Every time, people from Deep Space Nine say, "Hey, we never got the love we deserved," Enterprise is like, "We're not even invited to the party." we're not even in the competition. But I think they deserve it. I like Enterprise a lot. I wish it had a fifth season. But anyway, shout out to Melissa Longo there. She can come on sometime and tell us, once she's watched the whole thing, she can say
we should have her and Dr. Susan compare notes.
Yeah.
I think that would be an interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Since both of them are fresh viewers.
Throw Muhammad in there too, because he's a big Enterprise fan.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of Tilly skipping to the front of the line? Remember we were talking about Cirroc, how Saru doesn't have anybody around him. He doesn't have a senior staff. He has a bridge crew. He has some engineers. And he has a first officer that doesn't really like him or want to be there. And so if she's gone, who's he going to turn to? And if you go by rank, it would be probably Lieutenant Nilsson, because she sits on the bridge chair, the captain's chair when Burnham and Saru are gone. Or, somebody on the bridge, somebody in, obviously it can't be Stamets. He outranks most people, but he's got to handle the engineering. And I think we might have thrown in passing, well, it sounds like they're kind of leading towards Tilly, but dude, she was a cadet just a year ago or 2 years. I mean, like, she's a first or second year ensign. That's like Sisko would not say, hey, Nog, can you go ahead and tell Dax and Worf what to do real quick for me? Or what do you think?
Yeah, they kind of boxed themselves into this position, though, because we were talking about it before, Saru getting so much advice from Tilly. Like, I literally, should I do this? Should I do that? I think Tilly last episode told Saru that he has to tell Admiral Vance that Burnham is doing, this going rogue or whatnot. So it seemed like Tilly was already advising the captain. So it's not too far of a step for me, especially because we were thinking that it was headed in this way. Right. But yeah, it is kind of, it's not fair to the people that do work their way up in the normal chain of command and try to make it there. And here comes this ensign just like plodding along all really nice and cute. But she's also the heart, like she's like I feel like she's the heart of the show. She's the one character that I feel bridges all of the characters together. She has a personal relationship with every single character. And you can't say that about any one of the other characters. They all have like a combo team that they work with, but they don't have a personal connection with each and every one. And that's where Tilly has an advantage, at least, because she, Burnham is rooting for her. Stamets is rooting for her. Pretty everybody's rooting for her. Even though she doesn't have the quote unquote qualifications or / credentials.
That's a good point.
I thought it was a little bit. It seems objectively a little bit unorthodox, but I was, kind of thinking along the lines of everything that Cirroc mentioned, and then like. Just from a personal standpoint, I love Tilly. I would follow Tilly. But, I'm also, and, I know a lot of people are jumping on this on one side of the fence or the other, but I'm really interested just to see how it's written and what develops from that, how she grows as a character, in that role. If that turns out to be, permanent, it's she's acting first officer.
Right.
When she says yes. So, I'm interested because, I think someone has mentioned before, maybe on the Discovery might be the person that's, the most close to one of us, just a person from Earth that's, kind of a little bit new to Starfleet. When she went to the academy and all, but she's not, a commander that's been there for years. She was a cadet when we met her. And so we've kind of grown along with her in Starfleet. And she kind of has that kind of outside looking in, view as far as command and the higher up of Starfleet that she's now being thrown into. So, what's that like? How will she learn? Will she overcome this kind of uncertainty about herself that she has?
Yeah, I definitely see why in the story they would do something like that, because, I mean, there are basically four main characters. There's Michael, Stamets, Tilly, and Saru. So if it's not Michael, it can't be Stamets. They kind of almost have to go with Tilly, because if not, then they either have to introduce a new main character, or they have to just give the first officer a very limited role. You know, like it has to just be somebody that just kind of sits there but doesn't really get, you know, a lot of time. And Tilly, like you said, you know, we've grown with her. We know her. We know that she ends up being a captain in the Mirror Universe. So they're planting these seeds of her being like some great captain or great officer. But still, if I were on that ship and I'd been working my way up for 10 years or whatever in Starfleet, and I'm a lieutenant or lieutenant commander, I'm like, ooh, I think this is my chance. And they'll be like, Ensign Tilly. And you're like, what? But I was just teaching her how to put her badge on straight last Tuesday, dude. Are you serious? I'm going to a different ship.
Yeah. I mean, I could see why that would offend people. Like, because, you know, one thing about Starfleet is based on the military, and the military has this very strategic ranking hierarchy, and you move up on the chain, you know, the chain of command. And you don't really get to jump the chain. You don't get to be, you know, you don't go from boot camp to the admiral in like 2 weeks, you know? So,
well, you do now in two incidences in Star Trek. The other one being the 2009 JJ movie. Kirk does that. He's like a cadet, and then suddenly he's just in charge of a ship. And it rubbed me the wrong way then, and it rubs me the wrong way now. I'm like, but that's against the rules. Where's my tie?
Robin's way.
I'm like, nitpick of the day. You're not allowed to go from cadet to ensign to first officer unless it's a shuttlecraft mission or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yes, I know what you mean, number 7. Anyway.
Number 7.
Number 7. Yeah,
that's great.
It sounded a little like Boimler right there. I didn't want to say anything, but yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to cosplay at the next Star Trek convention, right? Just do purple hair and start being like, practicing my butt wiggle walk.
Yeah, and just be upset about everything and by the book about everything. But no, I actually have to agree with TJ on this particular issue, because one thing that he said was, I would follow Tilly. And to me, that's how I feel about it too. She seems genuine. She's not pretentious. She doesn't really even want the position, and she's asking and confiding in the people that she does have relationships with, and like, you know, what do you think I should do here? So I think that it actually fits in this particular occasion, just because of all the factors that we mentioned, but also because I think she would make a good first officer. She's thoughtful, she's always intuitive, and she is able to maneuver around the different branches of the Starfleet. So she can go into engineering, she can go into the bridge. She kind of has this ability to have knowledge about all the aspects of things. She's not just really good at one thing.
I have one requirement for Tilly, and that is that she goes to Michael Burnham and grabs her by the collar and said, look, you will not run off on some unsanctioned rogue half-cocked mission and make me look bad as first officer unless you talk to me first.
And then Burnham will be like, yeah, good point. I'm going to be right back. Hang on. I'm going to be right back.
Exactly. And you know, that's kind of my hope and wish is, okay, you know, maybe she's the one that can rein in Michael Burnham. Not maybe rein her in, but maybe Michael, you know, will, you know, have a little bit more, you know, kind of a respect feeling, not an earned respect, but a respect, you know, this is my friend, this is my, you know, bunk mate, cabin mate, and I don't want to make her look bad. So let me, you know, try to work with her on this instead of just running off. You know, that's my hope.
Yeah.
I think they're setting up Tilly to be captain by the end of the series.
That I don't see.
I think so, because they showed it in in the mirror universe that she was a captain. So they're already planting that seed of like, it's her destiny. She has it in her to be a captain. At this point, she's now one step away. So all it takes is the end of the series, whether it's after season 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever it is, Saru dies or he retires or he gets transferred or whatever it is, she's already one step away at this point.
He runs off with Tarina.
Yes. But anyway, what were you saying?
Saru?
Cirroc, you started to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, just to comment on what you were saying, in the event that were to happen, I still think that Burnham deserve to be a captain over her. I just don't feel like she's qualified to be the full-out captain. She's already the reluctant first officer. I doubt she'd want really to make all the decisions. But no, I forgot what my question. Oh no, this was my question. My question was about Burnham's mom. I just needed a little clarification, kind of. Maybe TJ, you can help me with this. Burnham's mom took the Red Angel suit and went off into the future at the exact same timeline as them. Is that what happened?
That's my understanding. And I think there's like Ryan was saying earlier, there gets to be, a little bit of confusion with this timeline and that timeline, because when she first went, she saw that, everything got destroyed and, it was pretty much nobody there. And so she started, exactly. So she starts trying to make these moves to, try to have that not be the outcome. I think, the part that connected this for me was the talk that they had when they were walking down the corridor when she first got on the ship, that said that she landed right back on Isaf 4. So, in my mind or headcanon or rationalization or whatever people need to enjoy a TV show, that made the connection to, okay, this is the Gabriel Burnham that we saw, come back, to save Michael in the Red Angel suit, and then that got flung off, and that's where she landed. She tells us where she landed, so that's the timeline for me.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then the question, I guess, for me, the reason I'm having difficulty is, how would she be integrated into the Romulan Vulcan culture, the society, and have such an important role as a Qowat Milat member?
I had that kind of question too. And the question that I didn't see answered in the episode was, okay, we know where she landed and we know, where she came from when she got there, but do we know when she landed? How long has she been there? I mean, she says that, she landed back on this planet and some colonists took her to the Qowat Milat. And that's how she got with them. But, how long, has she been there that she, is like a full-fledged member of this society, and she knows all about the absolute candor and practices that in her life and can whip Burnham up with it.
That's Qowat, a good point. You made a lot of sense. Anyway.
How long have you been saving that one?
When you rewatch this, you'll see that towards the end of what you were saying, that little smirk came on my face. That's what it was. you'll see it in the rewatch.
Yeah.
There'll be a little moment where it went like, ding! I haven't made a dumb joke in a while.
That was a good one.
Maybe she landed at the same time that Burnham did, which was 1 year prior. But if that's the case, what I don't know, or maybe they mentioned it and I forgot, is how long does it take for them to train to be an official Qowat Milat? Or can you just be in it where you say, like the Girl Scouts, where you're like, I just want to be one. They say, all right, you're hired. Is there like, a year-long process or something like that, in which case that would kind of tell us at least how long she's been there.
Right, and the other aspect of the rationale for me would be that okay, so then that means the Vulcan, Romulans, the Navarre would know that there is somebody who has just traveled from time in 1,000 years into the future, right? Because wouldn't she tell people her story, how she arrived there in a Red Angel suit, and she's from the past, and so wouldn't they already have a knowledge of that capability when Discovery arrives?
They should, but if she went to Navarre, then my assumption on that is that they didn't particularly share that with the Federation.
Somebody else made an interesting point in the big Discovery group. And what they said was, this was before the show aired. They said, hey, since Discovery takes place before original series, then nobody on the crew should even know anything about Romulans or what they look like, because nobody in the Federation has seen a Romulan until the original series, and Discovery takes place before the original series, so none of them have seen a Romulan, presumably, or know anything about them. But instead, they all just show up and they're like, "Oh yeah, Romulans, cool. Yeah, I remember you guys. How's it going?" So that was what somebody mentioned before the episode, and then so I don't know. I feel like maybe they missed that one.
I think there's kind of a throwaway line where Admiral Vance was telling them, okay, here's the Navarre situation is these Romulans came to live with them, but what you don't know is that they were cousin races long before that. And so he says that, so
yeah, that's good. That works. Yeah,
maybe explains why they know. Okay, I guess they look like Vulcans if they were cousin races.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember him saying that, but you're right.
Before that was that the Romulans were the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Vance. Any good Vance jokes? Like
Vance,
rhythm
if
is
you want to.
Yeah, you can Vance if you want to. Anyway, hold me closer, tiny Vance.
These are the classics.
There are a lot of those.
This will never go away. This will never go away.
I can't. My throat's a little messed up. Otherwise, I would do the CNC factory version.
I do want to give a little shout out to the actor who played Vakir, the Black Vulcan dude.
I thought he was great.
Yes.
I thought he was dope. So I just want to give him a shout out. He was great at his role, and I thought he killed his performance in his scenes with Burnham.
I agree. I noticed him, that actor, and the Vulcan president actress. The two of them really stood out for me in this episode. What was the guy's name you said? Tavir or something like that?
Vakir, yeah.
Vakir.
And actually, he reminded me, his performance, because he was so good, reminded me of Tim Russ in some ways. There were certain things reminded me of a young Tim Russ.
Really? He actually, when he was talking, he reminded me of Spock. Whatever it was, it's clear that he did his homework. It's clear that he studied the way that Vulcans speak. Because when he was talking, I felt like he was invoking the original series Spock. And I was like, wow, that's doing your homework way back. And you were picking up on some Tuvok, which means he probably just studied all of them and was like, okay, let me,
He killed it.
Yeah, I agree. That's totally there with you, yeah.
And the moment I liked the most was the first moment when Burnham sees him and says something like hello, and he just gives her like the coldest look I've ever seen.
Don't hello me.
It's like if you weren't Spock's sister, man, I wouldn't even come up here for this.
Yeah. He's like, I was in the middle of my ponfar, and I only have to do this because it's the law.
Yeah. I loved his performance in this episode. He really took it over the top for me. And we also sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead.
No, I was going to make another segue to Booker and Burnham now kind of having a relationship, and it looks like they're officially going to be like a couple or something, right?
Either that or it was a one-night stand.
Several
they got their cute little apartment in the cargo bay. That's so
Yeah.
cute. They're like they're just hanging out in a ship, looking out their ship's window.
Yeah, with the cat in the
Like,
background.
hey, we need the cloak before the windows are wide open, man. Can you go ahead and cloak one? There's people walking around out there. And the shuttle bay door is always open.
Yeah, I noticed that. They're like right on the edge. Like, don't they want to be tucked in a little bit more just in case there's like some shaking or something that happens?
No privacy. They don't want privacy.
I think I was thinking about, their relationship, and I kind of got this vibe, whenever she goes back to Book, that she is kind of removed from all of the confusion in her life because, she was with him for that year, and she kind of got used to that. And so, it's almost kind of like a grounding relationship for her, since, she's back into all of this turmoil, the discoveries here, the burn happened, and now we just met Starfleet and she got demoted. But when she goes back to him, it's probably kind of like just a ground for her to say, okay, all of that stuff's going on, but I found peace here. So let me hold on to that. And that's the vibe I get when she goes to him.
Yeah. He definitely is like a pillar of stability for her in her life. That's something that she's attached to in this new world, and she does find solace when she's with him. Also wanted to give I wanted to give a shout out between the performance with Burnham and her mom. There were a couple of moments there where I was like, damn, her mom is a real bitch. But I was like, what the hell? What kind of mom are you? You're screwing it up for your daughter, But they actually, it was good. There was good drama between them, and I liked it. And I actually particularly liked Burnham when she went through the moment of realization when she said, okay, fine, then if you're here to validate the truth, isn't it true that, Starfleet gave me a mission and a purpose? Isn't it true they gave me a place and a family? And I like that speech that she went through. I was like, you know what? That's dope, because that is what Starfleet has done for her.
Right.
And there was no way to really deny that. She was like, true. So I like that moment. It's kind of like an epiphany for her and a realization moment for her and for us as the audience.
Yeah, Star Trek has had a few of these kind of episodes that are like trial episodes or courtroom drama episodes or something like that. So it did kind of remind me a little bit of like, Measure of a Man with a few speeches here and there, or like the one in Deep Space Nine in the second season, I don't remember what it was called, where Miles O'Brien is over in Cardassia, if you'll remember, and then there's and there's Quark.
There was the Quark episode, House of
Grilka.
Grilka, yeah. So there's a few of these courtroom episodes, but I like the way they play out. And actually, if you want to know the truth, I think this was the best episode I've seen. I think it was probably the best Discovery episode I've seen.
Wow, you heard it here first.
Yeah, I liked it.
TJ, what's the best Discovery episode you've ever seen?
I agree.
Wow.
I said this is probably one of the best episodes of Star Trek I've seen, period. Especially, with it being, a follow-up to Unification and TNG.
Mm-hmm.
That pulls a little bit at my heartstrings. But, not only that, we got to see classic Spock.
Mm-hmm.
That was really nice. I thought that was a great reference, great throwback.
Yes.
There were some pretty good lines in this episode too. I think this is the kind of episode people probably won't watch, 50 or 100 times, because there's no ships blowing up and there's no, fast gunning. Like you said, it's kind of courtroom. It's a lot of dialogue. But that's the kind of episode that I like. Not only that, there's some self-discovery in this episode, because just like Cirroc was mentioning, when mom is asking her all of these questions, and then she kind of, finds herself on her back foot for a second. And I noticed something, when she's on that back foot, when she's on the defensive with her back against the wall, she talks fast. That's when she starts talking fast.
She does.
And you can kind of sense, like, and this is, a credit to SMG for some great acting. You can see it and feel it come through the screen. That, like, she's got this mix of feelings. She's angry. She's, she feels betrayed because she's not trusted. And she wants to lay out the facts and get it straight. And that's what she does.
Yeah, there was a moment when she looked at her mom like, she looked over at her mom like, really?
You're supposed to be on my side.
Yeah, you're my advocate.
Yeah, like, really? Are you pulling? Actually, there was a line where she says, you could have picked a better time to do some parenting. I thought.
Yeah. Yeah,
that was a good line.
I thought Michael had a great line too in the court scene where she said, make sure I get this right. I may question and I may fear because the problems often seem insurmountable, but haven't we always risen to meet them?
Yes.
Like that's quotable right there.
That's a Star Trek line.
I'll put that in a frame and hang it on the wall.
Yeah, and she also said, "Didn't we risk our lives to save all the lives in the sentient universe?" I was like,
exactly.
She's like, hey, wait a minute. Y'all wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for me. So I don't need to hear this right now.
But I thought it was a pretty big moment too when she said, okay, you know what, this is not worth, the peace of this planet and all that, Spock worked to accomplish. I'll withdraw my request. And, I think that was a real growth moment because, and I may be wrong, but up until now, every time we've seen Michael determined that she's right and that she wants what she wants and she's going to get it, she hasn't backed down. And this time she did. She said, you know what? No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm right, but I'll get it another way. You guys go ahead. I don't want anything from you.
That was also a little bit of reverse psychology too, where you're like, "Hey, can I have this thing? Can I have this thing? No, fine. I don't even want the thing. Maybe you can have a little bit."
Yeah, but I actually genuinely think she did it out of the love she has for her brother. I felt it at that moment. I was like, you know what? She doesn't want to step on Spock's legacy. She doesn't want to tarnish what he's dedicated his whole life to, and what everybody's feelings are about him. So she's like, you know what? I'm going to back away from this. I'll figure it out a different way. There's more than one way to figure this thing out. So I'll find out another way, even though, that other way was her still getting the information she was looking for.
There was another point that somebody brought up that was really interesting. They said that we now know that 3 out of the 4 founding races of the Federation have left the Federation for various reasons. That's the Vulcans, the humans, and the Andorians. The only ones that are left are the Tellarites. And so hopefully we're going to find out what happened with the Tellarites, if they're still in the Federation or if they left as well. And wouldn't that be interesting if all 4 of the founding members all left? And this whole season is kind of a way of bringing all 4 of them back into it, because they've made some small strides with the humans. They made some small strides with the Vulcans. They've got an Andorian on their side right now who's healing up in sickbay, presumably. So maybe they're kind of threading that needle of bringing those 4 back together. I would be interested to see at least what happened with the Tellarites.
So maybe Saru's not channeling Picard. Maybe he's channeling Archer, bringing all of these people together to
interesting
to make a federation, make an alliance.
And I wanted to ask also. It seemed like they were talking about developing a technology that would replace the dilithium that they needed, right? That the Romulans, the Navarres had worked on some kind of technology that would function something like the spore drive. So are we to believe that they have that technology and their ships are able to maneuver?
No, I think they discontinued it because they deemed it to be basically the same story as the Spore Drive. They said, whoa, this thing's way too dangerous. Let's discontinue it altogether. And they made that decision. But I think what they're saying is the Federation didn't make that decision. The Federation still wanted to continue pursuing that line of technology. And so that's why the Romulans and Vulcans were like, well, then we aren't going to share this technology or information with you anymore because it's too dangerous. We've deemed it to be too dangerous, and we don't want you working on it. Did I get that right, TJ, to your understanding?
That sounds exactly right. Exactly
Okay.
right.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they think it's so dangerous, they think it caused the burn.
Right.
And, that's kind of what this whole conversation was about is Michael doesn't think it caused the burn. And they're like, we don't care. It's still too dangerous.
I just hope that they kind of missed an opportunity here. I think it'd be cool if like every single time somebody said something like when Michael's mom, kind of talked down to her or something. I felt like through this whole season, they should all go, ooh, burn, like just really like just kind of have the burn be like a theme of the entire season where everybody's trying to burn burn, got you, burn.
And maybe, let's get Ashton Kutcher in to come in, Topher Grace, get some 70s show.
The characters behind you, Ryan, which are these, some of the bridge crew, right?
Just say yes.
They only have like one line every once in a while. And
right.
I just feel like they're just missing the ball on those two characters, at least behind you. Yeah. One of them should be growing a little bit more, at least one of them should be continuing to grow, because I don't have any backstory on them. I just get those one or two moments here and there. Captain, I got this, or yeah, isn't that cool? And that's about it.
Right. These two, basically, Awasakan and Detmer, like I said last week or the week before, their job is basically they're sitting on the front, they're pushing buttons, and they look at each other knowingly sometimes. They look at each other, or they go, or they whatever. They have that kind of camaraderie. And then Bryce, Lieutenant Bryce back here, and I don't think we see Reese, but his buddy that's also in the back of the bridge, they have the same thing where they kind of like, they do something, then they look at each other. Sometimes they pound the fist. We've seen them pound the fist once or twice. And that's it. That's their job. They're kind of like, they're like a step above background actors. They're filling out the bridge. They don't have any meaty parts. They don't have anything to do with the storyline. They just say, aye, sir. Or they say yes. Say yes. Or they say 4 meters up to starboard, sir. I don't even know if that's a real thing. That sounds like a naval thing. But that's what they do. Yeah, and I agree that I wish we could know way more about them. We got a little bit about Detmer because she was on the original ship, the Shenzhou, with Michael Burnham and Saru and Giorgio. She's the fourth person that survived that we know of.
Now,
all right.
In their defense, they're probably saying, hey, don't give us any more to do. We're getting a good check. We say one line here. And they're like, don't give us any more, because if you give us any plot lines, we might end up dying. I want to stay.
You're right. Right.
Yeah.
If they get lines, they're like, wait a minute, I'm reading the script. I'm seeing a few lines. Let me skip to the end.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only one, Bryce, we have zero background on him or Reese.
Right.
Owusakan, all that we know is that she grew up with her parents were in a Luddite collective, and we learned that when she went to Terra Elysium. And I was hopeful at that time that they're going to start developing some of these other characters,
right,
and giving them some background. But we got that one bit, and that was it.
And it looked like they were going to start to, because she went on an away mission, which I think is possibly the first time we've seen her on an away mission.
Yes.
And she had a couple extra lines that weren't just standard protocol lines, but actually a bit about her. But that was it. It ended. That was the totality of it, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But at least today she got to say yes. Say yes. And they all just said that, except for Detmer. Detmer got an extra word. She said, say yes
Just
already.
say it.
Yeah. Say it.
Yeah.
Just say it already.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
I do have to, I got some kudos for Mary Wiseman because of her acting in this episode. I mean, she brought me to tears, especially in that scene after Michael came in and, you know, they hugged. I mean, she's pretty much taking Michael's job after, you know, all of this time. But all of her scenes with Stamets, I thought, you know, was good as well. Hey, I need to talk to you. Like, I don't have anybody to talk to, you know, Michael's doing this, what is it, to call and cat thing. And I mean, you're the only guy I got to talk to. So, you know, I thought that was a really good scene.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm partial to Tilly anyway, but I thought Mary Wiseman knocked it out of the park here.
I have to second that, and I also want to give a shout out to Anthony Rapp, who also I thought was superb in the scene opposite Tilly in this episode, when he kind of was like, "So I gotta take orders from you now." Like the way he was processing that information seemed very genuine to me.
His facial expressions were priceless.
Yeah, they were priceless. And that's why I say he knocked that out of the park. I thought, you know, the way he was just processing the information and then how he was supportive of her later on, I just thought was just all around good Star Trek. That's why I would say this is one of the best episodes of the show, because I really felt for the characters in these different situations. I felt Burnham and her mom kind of like what the hell is this about? And I felt Tilly kind of having the emotions of like just being just promoted like 10 grades above.
Overwhelmed. That has to be overwhelming. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so yeah, I kind of appreciate about the Stamets character that he went and brought everybody in, you know, like he did, to, you know, just kind of, you know, comfort her a little bit, because, I mean, we know, you know, Stamets isn't, you know, just on the surface, the warmest guy.
Right.
He is deep down inside, but, and so I thought that was a nice way to show that he went and got, you know, all of the crew together and said, you know, hey, you know, this is going on. Let's back her up.
Right.
Yep.
Now we've only got a couple minutes left, guys. I did want to bring something up very quickly that I didn't know anything about. Our good buddy Don Crandall, who likes to chime in with some trivia for us every once in a while. He said that this storyline of the unification of the Romulans and the Vulcans was going to be explored in an animated series after Enterprise called Star Trek Final Frontier. But I guess that idea got scrapped. Maybe I should have Googled it to confirm this. Maybe he just makes stuff up to troll us. To be like, I wonder if I could get him to say this nonsense. Just make anything up. And I'm sitting here like just saying it like forever, you know, here it is out in the ether forever. Anyway, that's pretty interesting. He also said that they kind of toyed around with the idea for season 4 of Deep Space Nine to deal with this kind of stuff, but they ended up going with the Klingon conflict instead, because that obviously works better with Worf, and it sounds more dire going against Klingons than spending a season dealing with Vulcans and Romulans, you know, squabbling or whatever. Anyway, a little bit of trivia for us. I guess we should check that trivia before I say it, but who knows? Maybe it's true.
Well, it sounds logical. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but the fact that you know, one show would pay homage to other shows.
Right.
We did the Trouble with Tribbles episode, and that was a whole homage episode. So I don't see it being far. That's another reason why I think this episode was so good, because it kind of stayed in line with what Star Trek does when it references itself, and I thought they did a great job with that.
Well, I think we reached the end of the road here, guys. Unless there are any final thoughts you want to throw out there. Lots of good stuff in this episode. This one had the most Star Trek references and, tie-ins, I think, of anything this season for sure.
Yeah.
I have one thing, since we're limited time. So the Romulan badge, the Raptor.
Yes.
I want that. I want it so bad. It's awesome. I'm going to find that and acquire that. And, my second thing to go out on is, Admiral Vance said he's going to send a message to Vulcan.
Rhythm is a Vancer.
He's going to say that Michael Burnham is coming. So, I wonder, if he was in the Christmas spirit and said, Michael Burnham's coming to town.
Solid.
Yeah,
solid.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there, by the way, for those of you that celebrate Thanksgiving. So we'll save the rest of that one for Christmas time. Hopefully, maybe not. I think maybe it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see Burnham's mom again, or do you think that was pretty much the end of?
I don't know.
I think she may be, kind of that, one per season type of guest character. So, we'll see her again, but maybe not this season, maybe next season. She makes an appearance again. That's what I'm betting. That's the horse I'm betting on.
Nice.
Yeah. She says, "You always know where to find me." That was a nice line too.
Also, before we go, a quick shout out to it's the final few days of Movember for those of you out there that pay attention to that kind of stuff. It's a very important thing, talking about men's health and men's suicide prevention and mental health all around. And 3 of our good friends are participating in this. So we will include their links below. That's Jesse Taggart, Homer Frizzell, and Bill Erickson. We'll include their links in the description box below. Please check it out. Donate what you can, even if it's just $1. Hey, it's the thought that counts. It just shows that you're supporting what they're doing or what they're trying to do. Also, our friend Eve England is also doing something for suicide prevention and mental health as well for her birthday, which is tomorrow. But by the time this thing airs, it'll be tomorrow in the UK, which is where she lives, Eve England, out in Wales. So happy birthday to one of our favorite people in the world, Miss Eve England. We'll include that in the description box below. Please check that out. Help her out. Give her a few bucks to prevent needless suicides.
Yeah.
Not that any suicides are needful, but
Yeah. Well, as long as they're, these guys are doing their best to raise awareness and support the cause. So anything we can do to help goes a long way. So thank you very much, all of you, for taking on such a serious issue and addressing it head on.
I'll say, if anybody's watching, has not watched the roundtable that we recorded, I think it was about a week ago, then I strongly encourage you to do so.
Yeah, it's a good conversation. Very productive, very good, very honest. You guys are always so great about just being so open and honest. It's really inspiring, very helpful, very good conversations. So check that out, guys. The roundtable. Good point, TJ. Yeah. It should say like roundtable number 22. I think it was. Yeah, just a few days back.
Yeah.
Anyway. Great. Well, I think that's it for us this week. Definitely check those out. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of this episode. Would you take orders from a second-year ensign, or would you be like, okay, that's sweet. You just go ahead. Or would you be like, nah, hey, if my captain picks her as the first officer, then who am I to argue? That's none of my business. My job is just do what I'm told. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Good stuff. Lots of good stuff. Anyway, thank you all very much. A very special thank you to TJ Jackson-Bey.
TJ Jackson-Bey.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Also, let's give a shout out to Carmen Shamwell, PJ Thomas, Bill Victor Arucan, Yvette Blackmon, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, as mentioned, Marie Segal, Titus Mohler, Tim Baum, Susan V. Gruner, Rex A. Wood, Robert Weissburg, and John Tufarella in absolute candor, New York. The city, he's actually in Candor, New York. That's why it worked.
He's absolutely in Candor, New York.
That's right. Boy, we should have ended this 5 seconds ago. Anyway. All right. Thanks very much, everybody. And always remember the 7th rule.